Now, before we go into explaining all the builds, we have to talk about the capacitor because of one thing. As you can see, the damage to armor is not maxed out on this one. So if we were to come down to here, you see it does not allow us to maximize it because it hasn't been extracted, because all ARs have health damage on that spot. And this is becoming a big problem because you can't actually do proper testing without that. Now, we can actually maximize the weapon damage, but when it all comes down to it, it's because of the library. This is all it is. It's because the library doesn't have this one piece. Now, before in TU19, we could optimize these. But if we come to here now, because it's not actually in our library, if we come over here and look at the attributes, you see we have a damage to armor in this spot, but it's not over in the main spot with the other area in the library if you go to core attributes. So if you come over here and you take a look, you only have the two. So if they were to add that in, we could easily just get that, drop it in, and it'd be fixed. But while the capacitor does increase our skills damage, none of those, like health damage or damage to armor or damage to targets out of cover, actually matter for things like the assault turret or the drone, you know, the assault drone. So because those don't matter, what is another stronger build that actually does utilize those, right? That's the main thing, because again, this capacitor has damage to armor, damage to targets out of cover, so that increases our weapon damage, unlike this one right here, which just does headshot damage like the bighorn. So let's get into some of this, shall we? Now, first and foremost, I have a build in my codex which had a lot of controversy, and that's this one, because of the sniper turret. And people were asking, well, why are you using it this specific way on this specific build when none of this right here is actually increased by headshot damage? And that's because, like I said, in there you could use a sniper rifle, have that headshot damage, and actually get this headshot damage to apply for your sniper rifle. That was the main thing about it. Now, it doesn't have a whole lot of damage for the build, but you could easily get things like Spike because it gives you that extra damage for a long period of time, or putting Spike like on a White Death was the main idea, so that way you could actually have some headshot damage, be a sniper, snipe with your sniper turret and everything else. But we found a few other things, a bit like in sync would also work, but it was very short time, so we had to actually put on something that did it for a long period of time, like Spike, and that allowed you to get the damage out for your weapon as well as for your skills. So this build, while it doesn't work for this sniper turret, it still works in general for what you want to use.
10 seconds later.
So with this build, we have to show the max damages that this build can do and what we could get for headshots, and also show that the headshot damage does not apply to this skill, so people understand the truth. So we have right here on a base of 10.9. So now that we got all that, we need to start getting some stacks. So now that we got a kill, that's going to give us our tech support. So this will kill it. And then once we get a shot, that's what we're getting afterwards once we have tech support. So what about if we max out with a capacitor or even just shoot one of these shots like this? So now that we have these stacks, boom, as you can see, we jump up about 2 mil more on average. So every time we get this, we're going to keep going up. So let's go to the capacitor. Let's see what it maxes out with the capacitor. Let's get some shots on this, stack it up, and then shoot one good shot. And again, we also have to show before we have anything like the tech support. So there's a tech support. And as you see, if you aim at the head, that's where it stacks out. So let's get all those kills out of the way. 17.519. So that's what we get with the capacitor maxed out and the tech support and everything else. So let's see what we can get with this when we take off one of those headshots to show that it does not do anything. It doesn't stack, it doesn't do anything. So accidentally it clears my capacitor, so let's restack this real quick. Because again, this is important to note because we have another build where this works really good with, but it's not as strong as this. So if you want to make a build like this one here, you still need to make this, but instead of the headshot damage, we would just put crit chance critical hit damage into those specific spots so our capacitor could actually do some serious damage, or you can leave it as headshot if you want and put it for a sniper rifle. 17,519 yet again. So that right there proves that the headshot damage mods don't do anything for that.
Emotional, damn it!
So then what about this build right here? Now this build has been arguably the strongest skill build in the game, but I have another one coming up later on that actually slaps down content a little bit faster. But this one here is actually really good for anything you want to use, like for instance the sniper turret. Though it has less damage, as you can see right here, compared to the other one, we're actually still hitting for fairly decent, and it works just the same because again it's based off of the skill damage. Now we don't have something like tech support and that extra damage, which would actually boost it up even higher to hit that 17 mark. So let's see what we can get with this one alone, right? We have all our stacks, as you can see down here, but we're only hitting for about 13.3. That's not bad. While it's 14 mil less than this, and we still have everything the same, which is the Artificer Hive and the Sniper Turret, we're not hitting anything more than 13.5. Now this build alone is great with assault turrets and assault drones. So let's show that.
More moments later.
And now that we've got these on here, let's show these two skills and why this build synergizes with those specific two skills way better than anything else. Now my skills are at 20, okay, and my capacitor is at 20, while it's still missing the damage to armor, so we can't show the actual damage numbers of the capacitor until we max it out. This is the damage we got for our skills. 217 for the assault turret. That's actually really good for an assault turret. It also has a very good cooldown as well. Now the best cooldown is going to be around 10 seconds minus the 0.8 whatever you want to get out of it. So that one's actually pretty good for 16. Now the assault drone, as you can see right here, for about 13.26 something or other. So that's actually really good, and it has a cooldown of about 12, maybe 13 seconds, give or take, normally on a faster bit. But this one here, it's still close to about the 16 mark. So still, either way. But here's a little piece that I have been using versus everybody else. As you see, if we damage ourselves, we have the regen effect. But once you put on the mop, look at this. Anything that your skills kill or your gun kills, you get armor on kill, because that damage to armor and damage targets out of cover don't benefit your skills, only your weapon. So having that just in your hand and taking one shot, getting the in sync out, this can actually give you some added survivability to the build versus just using the capacitor, because it's instantaneous. Just shoot something, you get in sync. Now this is the skill build, okay? Now the best way to explain this is, while you get the Empress out, you want to basically put in where you see crit chance and critical hit damage. So if this mask has crit chance versus the crit damage like mine, you just put the opposite in there. Same with this, as you see it has crit chance, so we put a mod in there for the critical hit damage. Now when it comes to the gloves, as you see we have crit chance there, so we put a critical hit damage mod into the memento, like so. Now when we come to Picaros, we have the critical hit damage, so we put crit chance on the knee pads. That's how we're able to even out everything. We put them here, here, and so on and so forth. The mask, it already has it on there. We have a mod slot, and so on. So when we do this, we will be at 44% crit chance and 129 with the capacitor. And then when we go to a shotgun, again, we have this. Now, do you need a shotgun? No. You could use whatever other weapon you want. It's just the capacitor is going to be best. And then we have for pistol, if you want to use pistol arrow, you have the same. You have a lot of crit chance and fairly decent crit damage.
2 very boring minutes later.
Now while that build slaps down each individual piece and can destroy Chongas because it does more damage to them, there's this one, the tactical nuke. It's basically the same concept, it's just we're going for the explosive damage. Now this one does not have as many red cores as you saw with the other one. It had 4 red cores. This one here barely has those. So what it makes up for is being able to slap down multiple enemies. It's basically the same concept. We have a piece of Wyvern, 1 piece of China. We have 2-piece Gruppo right here. Now the Gruppo is going to give us that extra critical hit damage, so there is where we've always had 1 piece where it slows us down, is the critical hit damage was wasted. So if we make a build like this where we do the same with the crit chance and the critical hit damage, we get something for our weapons, which makes that critical hit damage useful on this type of build. but it can also slap down multiple enemies. But a lot of people are going to be like, well, wait a minute, you have the two-piece Grupo, the China, and the Wyvern, and you have the Memento, it's all the same, but why do you have the Petrov gloves? That's because damage to armor actually boosts from all this extra damage to give the mortar turret more damage from the Grupo, from the Wyvern, from all this, because the mortar turret is actually based upon damage to armor. That's one reason why we have a shotgun as a backup weapon within sync, is so we can get that extra damage to armor out. Now, again, we can prove this right here by simply doing this. So we're going to put on something that gives us no extra skill damage, but a Hana U, which gives us skill haste, and it's got max skill damage. So when we take this piece off, we'll be able to prove how much more damage just alone those Petrov gloves synergize with this. So let's do the Petrov gloves first. We will kill this target, and then we're going to slap it down and see what the max damage is right here. 5.7 mil, right? We didn't do anything, we just have the shotgun in our hands, right? And then we're going to slap down that target. So let's see what the Hana U does with this same thing, right? We want to see if the Hana U, which gives us no extra skill damage, actually boosts it. Oh, wait, oop, forgot, got a pistol in my hand. Let's put the shotgun in here, take that back, reset the target. 5.3 case and point damage to armor actually works for the mortars. So that is where shotguns and the Capacitor actually boost this even more just by having them in your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Now, do you have to have a 612 or something like that? No, because the damage to or damage targets that are covered doesn't do anything. So if you kill multiple enemies at one time, you can make this armor on kill work even better to give you way more survivability on this build. That's where it becomes player's choice. Now, before we get into some of the video, we have to demonstrate something. Now, this skill build right here with the turret and the drone fails at one thing, right? We have to show where it fails. If there's an NPC like me behind the wall or something like that, it cannot shoot them, right? If my drone were to get jammered or destroyed, it's not going to get them out of the cover. So you're going to waste time. That's TTK. They could even come out and shoot like this at something. It won't target them at times. Only if they're out of cover will that turret actually target them. So this is where the other build excels. So if you were to combine both of them together like a two-man team with both of these builds, it makes for the TTK even faster for people who just want to use skills, because if that NPC is right there, you can lob this, he'll roll out of cover, or he'll be killed by the mortar. And then if he were to roll out, you could launch it again at another spot and take them out. While the other player, because you basically damaged all their armor off, can then kill them with the turret and drone. So they both synergize together. However, when doing legendaries like this one right here, and you were to come up to it, there is one thing where the mortar build excels at, and that's close quarters. Not in open quarters, it excels in close quarters. So this type of mission actually makes it look really good, because when you see NPCs like this, we can also pull out a drone and use that against, say, one target like the Grenadier that's over there, and kill them out. But as you can see, we have multiple targets over here. We slap several of them down at one time. That increases our TTK. So that is where a build like this helps out the other one. So using both of them as a two-man team actually makes this a lot easier. And as you see, a purple, dead in 2 shots. That is severe fast TTK. Now, I know a lot of people are asking, why do you have a drone fighting the Chonga? That's because the drone can actually chunk out his armor faster. And once you get rid of his armor plate, like so, you can then hit him with this. As you see, he still has his armor plates all over. We're not able to damage his health until we actually get rid of his armor plate in certain spots. It doesn't matter, as long as you get rid of one of his armor plates, he can then start taking some severe damage to his health. And that is where the mortar finally excels. So having a drone that cracks him is the key. So using something that uses bullets is still going to be better. Now, as you can see right here, he's still chunking away, and we haven't gotten to his armor yet, right? Because we're doing this solo. So this is where that other build would excel, by taking out their armor plates. Then using a mortar like so to take out the Chonga is just as fast. So watch, here it comes for proof. Watch, he's gonna crack. There's the crack. Now watch this. Here comes the mortar. Boom, we're able to hit his health. See that? The moment he cracks, we can start damaging his health. Now again, like we said before, close quarters, this one excels. You would not be bringing a bunch of those other ones that do bullets when these guys can actually get away. So when we bring them into this spot right here and we're close quarters, watch them all just go away. We can kill groups, mobs of them with one of these builds right here. And as you can see, that one's going to try to get away. He's not going to be able to, because we can actually get that one spot, lob it in there, and then he's gone. They have no heals now, and you took out the entire crew of NPCs. So again, you can use either one of those builds. They're both just as good. It doesn't matter which one you would prefer. Both of them together actually make for very fast content. So rather than being like, well, this one's better than this one and this one's better than that one, doing any type of system or whatever, you as a player just need to choose what you want to use. Now, again, if you take both of them, say player A has the skill turret one, player B has the mortar one, you're going to slap down content really fast. And then afterwards, you can add on, say, a hot shot build to take down very specific targets. You could also add in a healer, one of my legendary healers from the Codex, get even more damage and slap it down even faster. But it's how you use them is what's going to benefit you as a team. So definitely synergize both of these together.